You chose a classic old luxury car, not a modern hybrid where everything just works. Not a generic appliance lease where you'd have driven cross-country by lunch without checking a single fluid level. You chose the machine that mass-produces frustration. The one that responds to a single loose vacuum line with 4 different dashboard warning lights pointing to systems you've never opened. That choice says something specific about your psychology. And depending on how far you've gone, how many years, how many breakdown calls, how many late nights staring at factory vacuum wiring diagrams that read like corrupted ancient texts, it has quietly reshaped how you think, what you expect from yourself, and what you're willing to tolerate from a machine. Level 1, the beginner. You remember the beginning? Maybe it was an old classic chassis sitting in a neighbor's driveway that you couldn't look away from. Maybe you watched a video about a restored Mercedes W124 or W126 and thought, I want to experience that. Maybe you just wanted to be the kind of driver who understood what was actually happening inside the mechanical engineering, not just someone shifting a plastic gear selector around in a modern appliance framework. Whatever the reason, the first week felt the same. You turned the ignition key, the inline-6 engine fired up completely smooth, and for about 40 seconds you felt powerful. Then you hit the mechanical vacuum lines under the dashboard. Then you hit your first sudden breakdown, which someone on enthusiast forums once described as the machine's way of saying it is furious with your life choices. Then you got a mechanical diagnosis failure, 47 items long because you forgot to check a single hardened rubber O-ring seal. Here's the thing about this stage that nobody talks about. Modern car buyers lease a showroom crossover in a weekend and feel smart. You spent that weekend trying to understand why a micro-turn on a Bosch fuel distributor mixture screw changes everything. And yet you didn't sell it. Something about the difficulty felt like it meant something. Like the struggle itself was evidence that you were experiencing something real. Not just transportation, but how the classic engineering actually breathes. The psychological trap here is quiet and corrosive. You start believing the struggle means you're stupid. It doesn't. An old luxury car is the only mainstream vehicle that expects you to understand hydraulic pressure, pneumatic actuators, and mechanical timing before it'll let you enjoy a single smooth ride. The breakdown isn't a sign that you're failing. It's the machine working as designed. Level 2, the student. This is the phase where you think you know old luxury cars. You've swapped an alternator, maybe done a basic brake disc change. You understand cylinders, brake calipers, and basic single-stage paint. You can read a chassis number without Googling what year it belongs to. You started helping beginners on ownership forums, and when you answer their wiring questions, you feel like you've made it. You haven't. This is the Dunning-Kruger peak, the most dangerous point on the ownership curve. You're performing what experienced mechanics call parts canon, restoration, raw, generic universal parts, and silicon sealant everywhere, because that's what the generic YouTube video showed you, bypassing an original relay with the direct toggle switch under the column because you don't yet understand. Why that's a problem. You've never heard of factory tolerance limits. You don't know what mechanical sympathy actually means. You think you're driving the car. You haven't realized the machine has 6 more gears. The danger isn't ignorance. It's the confidence that comes right before the ignorance reveals itself. Level 3, the junior owner. It reveals itself the day you open a real factory service manual. Thousands of pages, schematic diagrams drawn 30 years ago in a technical standard that isn't even printed anymore. Vacuum routing circuits that feel like their own language. A forum post reply where someone asks in a tone that's polite but clearly loaded, "Why aren't you using factory spec sync bolts here?" You realize you don't fully understand the question, not the hardware component, the philosophy behind it, why original manufacturing tolerances are a design decision, why structural integrity matters, why the senior collectors around you treat a mechanical Boss Cagetronic system versus an electronic conversion swap the way an architect treats load-bearing walls. Imposter syndrome at this stage is different from the beginners. Back then, you doubted your ability to learn. Now you doubt whether you belong in a car meet full of people who seem to speak a dialect of the same language you thought you knew. You sit in a gathering where someone casually mentions specific chassis paint color codes or engine block numbers, and you nod and you Google it under the table, and the explanation makes your head hurt, and you wonder if everyone else already knows this or if they're just better at pretending. They're not all pretending, but more of them are than you think. The shift happens slowly. Original engineering tolerance clicks first, and when it does, it changes how you think about more than metal fuel pressure lines, hydraulic actuators, vacuum blocks, electrical relays. You realize that a specialized factory spec component isn't an over-engineered design trick, it's a philosophy. Tie the lifetime of a part to the service interval of the vehicle, let regular preventive maintenance handle the wear. Once you see it, you can't unsee it. Aftermarket wire splicing and bypass retrofits start looking reckless. Mechanical restoration dynamics finally make sense. When you stop thinking a structural weld actually fixes a fatigue crack, it's just a reinforcement, a permission slip that tells the structural steel, I'm done with this stress point. Take its load. Drivers describe the moment it clicks like a physical sensation, a key turning perfectly inside a heavy ignition lock cylinder that had been jammed for months. But this is also where old luxury car ownership starts to feel infinite. Every few thousand miles, a hidden subsystem fails. New rattles, new fluid leaks, new ways that everything you fully restored last season is subtly shifting. You watch a National Car Club archive video by an old-school technician who clearly understands mechanical distribution fuel heads at a molecular level, and the imposter syndrome you thought you'd outgrown comes flooding back. Here's the truth experienced owners eventually accept. Nobody knows all of an old flagship luxury car. Not the factory manual authors, not the concours judges, not the preservation specialists on the heritage board. The mechanical architecture is too large, too old, and too layered for any single person to hold in their head. The collectors who seem like they know everything have just learned to be comfortable with knowing a specific chassis series, and they've chosen their chassis series carefully. The trap at this level is specific. You know enough to be dangerous. You can execute complex system overhauls and isolate real faults, but you're painfully, constantly aware of how much you don't know. And in a machine this vast, that awareness never fully leaves. The senior classic luxury car owner looks nothing like the person they were 5 years ago. Not because the machine got easier, because their relationship to it changed. You spend maybe 20% of your time actually driving the car. Now the rest is preventive architecture, technical documentation reviews, advice on forums, and thinking about how a preservation decision you make today will live inside a chassis for the next decade. You're not just maintaining a vehicle. You're preserving the heritage environment other enthusiasts will appreciate long after you've moved on. The work is specific in ways outsiders don't see. You're tuning fuel pressure lines for a continuous injection system where a single PI matters. You're debugging inside an old flagship chassis, one of the most complex mechanical engineering platforms ever built, where even the factory wiring harness is rebuilt with custom shielding because survival at that age demands it. You're setting mechanical timing for high-compression engines, where a stretched timing chain isn't an abstract concept. It's a catastrophic engine destruction. Engineers call what develops at this level mechanical sympathy, a deep, intuitive understanding of how your inputs interact with raw components. You don't just shift a gear. You think about what the transmission's hydraulic valve body will do with it. You don't just apply the brakes. You think about pressure lines. The restoration isn't just functional. It's shaped around the physical reality of the machine running it. But there's something nobody warns you about at this stage: the loneliness. You're often the most experienced technical voice at the car meet. The faults you resolve are invisible when things work. Nobody celebrates the catastrophic failure that didn't happen. The peers who can genuinely challenge your technical knowledge become rare, scattered across vintage car club hallways, obscure enthusiast groups, and forums that have run quietly for decades. Level 6, the legend. Then, there are the people who don't just drive old luxury cars, they shape them. Bruno Sacco, who created the timeless flagship design eras, and still advocates for them with a specific, almost parental protectiveness. Paul Brack, who chaired the classic design studios for over 20 years. Old master preservationists who wrote the most influential guides on restoring these systems well, and then retired saying the engineering had grown so complex with age that they no longer trusted themselves to keep all the mechanical schematics in their mind. That's not a failure of intellect. That's the nature of a machine that has accumulated 40 years of design features without ever removing a single mechanical layer. Every design modification is permanent. Every engineering decision carries forward forever. The people at this level aren't just driving. They're making preservation choices that affect thousands of classic chassis that will outlive owners who will never know their names. Here's what nobody tells you about old luxury cars. The level you're at doesn't change the fundamental experience. The beginner staring at their first sudden breakdown line and the expert debugging a pressurized hydraulic valve block at 3 in the morning are confronting the same thing. A machine that refuses to pretend the engineering is simpler than it is. An old luxury car doesn't protect you from complexity. It hands you the complexity and watches what you do with it. And at every level, from your first turned ignition key to the heritage preservation board, the question is the same. Do you understand what you just built? Not that it fired up, not that the dashboard lights cleared. Do you actually understand it? That question never gets easier. It just gets deeper.